Welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer Bond and I'm the Program and Marketing Coordinator for CU Boulder's Master of Science in Data Science on campus in Boulder, Colorado. I'm going to help us get started today. And then we also have some other folks here.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Rye and I am the Graduate Program Advisor for the MSDS program. And I'm happy to be your point of contact as you navigate the admissions process. And then I'll also help you once you do come on campus as well, with anything from course planning to connecting you with resources on campus. So you'll definitely see a lot more of me, and I'll be also helping with this presentation as well. So welcome everyone.
All right, so thanks for joining us today. We're really excited for this webinar. But before we start it, let's go ahead and get oriented. First, know that we're recording this webinar. We will share the link to the recording on our events page in a few days. So don't worry if you miss anything. You can always come back to the events page on our website. Now let's get familiar with the Zoom interface. If you hover your mouse over the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a chat icon. Please go ahead and click that now and tell us where you're joining us from today. Thank you. We usually get people from all over the world, so it's really exciting to see where everybody's joining us from. I see a few folks from India, California, Chapel Hill. Oh, formerly Chapel Hill, now in Boulder. Some more folks from India, some more California. Looks like we're spread out. Great. It's always really nice to see where people are coming from. So thank you for sharing us. We're going to go ahead and disable that chat function now, but don't worry, you'll still have a chance to interact. Let's talk about the Q&A feature. So please refrain from asking any questions for this first short bit where we give you a program overview. We know you're anxious to meet the faculty, and we'll let you know when to submit your questions to them. At the end, we'll say, hey, now please use the Q&A feature. You can use that by hovering your mouse toward the bottom of your screen again, and then just clicking that little Q&A icon to type in your questions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to throw it over to Caitlin again.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. So as Jennifer just mentioned, we're going to do a very quick program overview. I know that you're here to talk to the faculty and ask them questions, and we'll have plenty of time for that. But depending on where you are in the process, whether you're just learning about the program or whether you've submitted an application and are awaiting a decision, just want to give a brief program overview, so you know more about the program. So the University of Colorado Boulder is a top tier institution. We are in the top 30 in the world in education based on educational quality, student training, faculty prestige, and faculty research. We also were recently ranked number 59 in best global universities by US News and World Report. We were also founded in 1876, and we're a tier 1 Research 1 institution. Boulder itself is also a great city for entrepreneurial spirit. We are one of the tech corridors in the United States, and a lot of our faculty have launched their own businesses, including over 140 new startups, and our researchers have filed for over 1,200 patents. So it's a really great place to kind of learn from some of the best in the industry. In terms of the campus itself, so I know some of you are joining us from Boulder, and that's great. You've probably at least driven by the campus or walked around campus. But for those of you who are a little bit further away and have not had the pleasure of seeing the campus, CU Boulder has a really great close-knit community. So there's lots of different things that you can do outside of the classroom. And in fact, as an advisor, I would highly recommend that you utilize your time on campus and get involved in as many things as you can and that your schedule allows. So some of the things that you can do at CU Boulder, which does have a very active student life, is that you can join a student organization or club. You can check out different student events, and there's lots of different departments and program councils that do put on live events, concerts, movie screenings, graduate student gatherings. There's an opportunity to join the cultural events board, or if you're interested in sports, you can also be a part of a team through intramural or club sports. So definitely no shortage of things that you can get involved with on campus. In terms of the general Boulder community, CU Boulder is right in Boulder itself, which is a great, cute little downtown area. Boulder itself is known as a foodie town, and there's a lot of great restaurants and coffee shops and places to go see with your classmates and friends that you'll meet on campus. One of the main areas within Boulder that students do find enjoyment in going to is Pearl Street Mall, which you can see pictured right here. And Pearl Street Mall is an outdoor space where you can go around and experience that foodie culture in Boulder, in addition to doing some shopping and things like that. The city is also great if you like outdoors. So there's a lot of hiking trails being right in the foothills of the mountains. There's a lot of great biking trails and things to do outside. Right outside of Boulder itself, there's a lot of hikes as well, including the Hanging Lake Trail, which is a beautiful trail about 2 hours from campus. There's also no shortage of winter sports as well, including this time of year, where there's hiking, snowboarding, and things like that. So lots of things to do within the campus as well as outside of the campus. In terms of the program itself, there are a lot of opportunities for involvement that we organize for you to get involved with your other classmates. So the program itself does have a cohort style program, meaning that most students who come in will be coming in the fall semester and taking the same core classes at the same time. So because of that, you really get to know your other classmates, and you really get that kind of mentoring opportunity in addition to networking opportunity with your other classmates. So there's different events such as group activities, end of the term, parties and gatherings. There's a student government that you can get involved with. And then of course, there are career fairs and professional networking that you can do in correlation with our career services department on campus. So lots of things to do, outside of the classroom. So in terms of the program itself, this is a professional master's degree program that really trains you to work in the field of data science. So we'll look at the curriculum in just a moment, but you will find that this program is uniquely interdisciplinary. So data scientists really need to be able to communicate with specialists and non-specialists, so both technical people and non-technical people. So really being able to work across an interdisciplinary team is something that we want our graduates to be able to achieve, which is why we have this interdisciplinary setup. So you can be successful at any point in your future data science career. So we'll also talk about opportunities to apply your learning before you graduate in an internship, independent study, or a research project. So most students do take about 2 years to fully complete the degree, which is traditionally over the course of 4 semesters. You can finish in a year and a half, or you could finish up to 4 years in the program, but traditionally it is set up to finish in about 2 years. And for those who are joining us internationally, this program is STEM certified. So our international graduates are eligible for that OPT STEM extension benefit on their student visas. So in terms of the curriculum itself, we do have, our curriculum is made up of 21 credits of core classes and 9 credits of electives. So some of those core classes are using that interdisciplinary nature. So students are taking classes that kind of build upon computer science topics, statistics courses, and then of course, other ways to use data science across kind of the breadth and depth of what really it takes to be a data scientist. So you're going to be taking classes such as data mining, machine learning, statistical methods. You're also going to be learning what it's like to be a data scientist, taking classes such as data science as a field or cybersecurity for data science. The curriculum itself does use both R and Python programming languages. So once again, you're getting out into the field after you graduate, being able to really kind of be the most successful data scientist that you can be. So in terms of the electives, this is where you and I will work closely together throughout your time in the program to make sure that you're taking electives that align with the program objectives, as well as your own personal and professional objectives. So this is just a list of some potential electives that you can take. Once again, you can take classes in a lot of those different departments on campus, including some more computer science courses, some business courses, courses within information science, and then of course, other words as well. Some key things that I do want to mention that I briefly talked about just a couple slides ago was the option to kind of take your data science learning to the next level with a capstone class, an internship, or an independent study. So if you do want to work an internship, that is typically done in the summer between your first and second year in the program, and an independent study allows you to work closely with a faculty member if you want to do certain things such as research or dive deeper into a topic area that you are interested in within the field of data science. So in terms of the admissions process itself, there are two pathways for admissions. So if you do have, in a math and programming background, then you would go right into the direct to data science pathway, which means you're coming in and you're taking data structures and algorithms, you're taking statistical learning right away, and you already have courses such as Python and R, and you've had some exposure to linear algebra and multivariable calculus, whether that's through formal undergraduate education or through some other methods that you may have learned on the job or in some other avenues of ways to learn that math and programming. But if you do have that math and programming background, then you're going right into that direct to data science pathway, which means that you're taking that 30 credits of curriculum. If you are coming from maybe a non-traditional technical background, you would be looking at our bridge to data science pathway, which we're really excited about. It's new this year. And the pathway is a good fit for students who don't have a strong math or programming background. So the graduate committee will review your experience and your previous coursework to determine whether you need additional coursework to complete the degree in this pathway. And that allows you to take an introductory programming class, a mathematics course. So then you can jump right into the other data science coursework. So, and that could extend it anywhere from 30 to 34 credits. So that's just a little bit of an overview about the two different pathways of admissions that we offer. In terms of the admissions process itself, we do have some minimum qualifications that we do require for all applicants, regardless of kind of the pathway that you're interested in pursuing. And those are, we do require a bachelor's degree in any field. We do require an undergraduate GPA of a 2.75 or higher on a 4.0 scale. So that's traditionally about a B average or above that we're looking for. And we also look for adequate preparation for study in the program. So either through academic or work experience. So for the application materials, some of you may have already looked at this application, or you might be at a different part in the process, but the application does require the graduate admissions application. We do require unofficial transcripts so that we can see, that undergraduate degree and any other degrees that you have. We're also looking for a brief personal statement, letters of recommendation, a resume, and then proof of English proficiency if it's applicable to your specific situation. We do not require nor review a GRE, so we don't need that as part of the application. And if you do have questions about the application process at all, feel free to ask me in the Q&A section, just briefly going over this so we can get to the faculty. And if you do have any other questions, I also encourage you to come up to any upcoming webinars. We do have one coming up on January 6th, where we are taking any last minute questions right before you submit that application. And the applications are due on January 15th at 10 p.m. Mountain Time. So just make sure you're getting started early and that you're paying attention to the time zone as well to make sure that you submit that application on time. We do anticipate having decisions released around mid-March, but we'll definitely, at the absolute latest, we'll have decisions to you by mid-April. So that's kind of the timeline over the next couple of months. And we do hope to see you in an upcoming webinar if you do have any additional questions. But at this time, we'll go right into the faculty, which is why I know you're all here today. We're really excited to be able to introduce some of the faculty of the program. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Bobby and he can introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Bobby Schnabel. I'm a faculty member in the computer science department. I need to adjust my camera. And I've been at this a long time. I've done a number of leadership things here and other places, but that's not really the discussion today. I'm one of the two faculty members, along with Brian Zaharados, who you see pictured there, who led from the faculty side the development of this program before we had the very good fortune to hire Jane Wall as the director of the program. On the teaching side, I teach the one-credit course, Ethical Issues in Data Science. There's both a Coursera version of that, and it's a course that all students take during their first semester as a residential course. It's a very interactive course. We have a lot of discussion. And so if you come here in the fall, I will see you in the fall and get to know you in the fall and look forward to it. Thank you.
Great, thanks. And I'll turn it over to Jane.
Hi, I'm Jane Wall, and I'm the faculty director for data science. My background is a little different in that I did most of my time in industry, working as a software engineer, then a software manager, and then into sales and sales management before finishing my PhD in computational and applied math. I started the master's program at a different university and then came here to piggyback on the great work that Bobby and Brian had done getting the program started. And I teach the course called Data Science as a Field, which expects you to already know R, programming language. So if you don't know that first, then you will come in and probably start with our programming class and then see me the next semester. So it's a 1-credit, 5-week course, but we do use R as the backbone for that course. So I'll entertain your questions later, but I look forward to seeing you on campus.
Thank you, Jane. I'll turn it over to James.
Hi, I'm James Bird. I'm one of the instructors for data science. I teach mostly the applied math and statistics part of our data science program. Right now in all of my courses, we use R, some advanced R. So if you come into my courses, you'll also need to know R pretty much from the beginning at some level. Right now I teach Stat 5000, Stat 5010, which are the two foundational core courses for statistics. I also teach statistical learning and a few others. And I also work in the industry. So I've been a statistician in the industry for almost 7 years now as well. So I look forward to some questions.
Great, thank you. And last but not least, Steve.
Hi, folks, and so happy to see you guys here. And my name is Di Wu. I'm an instructor in data science. Now I'm teaching data structures and algorithms and data mining and also machine learning. And Boulder is a wonderful place. I really look forward to meeting you in the campus.
Great, thank you. So now that all of our faculty have introduced themselves, this is a great time to go to that Q&A feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen and start asking any questions you have for any of our faculty about the curriculum, classes they teach, any question about the application process or really anything. Go ahead and wait for some of those questions.
Don't be shy, you guys.
It's always a little bit slow to start. Oh, good.
Once we get that first brave student, then the questions seem to roll in. Let's see. I see, would you consider applicants with a GPA that is lower who are otherwise qualified?
So I can answer that to say that it needs to be at least a 2.75, unless you had some really extenuating circumstances and we would have to make an application to the graduate school to make an exception. But in general, most of our students are coming in with about a 3.4 or better. So depending on your background.
Thanks, Jane. I also saw another question. I see we typed an answer to it, but maybe it's good to bring up as a discussion point. What are some other useful programming languages to know besides R?
So yes, and Dee answered that Python is helpful. You will learn Python and R. You will be fluent in both before you leave here. It's helpful if you've had some exposure to both of those languages before you start, but not necessary.
All right, we have another question about whether there's funding available for the program. I can actually jump in and answer this one. So there aren't any departmental scholarships at this time, but you might be eligible for, CU general funding, federal financial aid, those kinds of things. If you look at our website on our finances page, which I'll throw a link in the chat in a moment here, you can also find some tips. If you look for private scholarships, we have some tips on how to apply and make your application more likely to be successful there. But you can see more about cost and financing on that page as well.
I'll add too that we occasionally hire some of our students to be course assistants or help in the office or help with some of the Coursera classes. So there are employment opportunities for students as well once you've started the program.
Jane, I'll add something to that as well. When I was getting to know the students who started this year, just anecdotally, it seemed like a number of them had found ways to earn income in the area, doing something technical. Dee's nodding, so you may know more than that. So whether they're jobs on campus or jobs in the community, I've heard about a fair bit of that.
And I will share, we did a Meet the Students webinar recently, and our current students did say it was relatively easy to find employment that they were satisfied with either on or near campus. Let's see. One question here is asking about acceptable TOEFL and GRE scores. So TOEFL, I'll have to look up. I'll put that in a written response. The GRE, we actually don't require any GRE to be submitted. In order to be more inclusive, our application review team actually doesn't even look at GRE scores that are submitted. So no worries about the GRE.
And for the TOEFL, it is an 80. And that does need to be an official score. It can't be older than 2 years old. And it does have to be sent to us directly from ETS. So just make sure that you're planning appropriately, as the application deadline is coming up in just about a month. So you want to make sure that you're sending us those scores as soon as possible.
Great, thank you, Caitlin. I thought you might know that one off the top of your head. Okay, this next question is about, I know this is a professional as opposed to academic master's program. but are there research project opportunities with faculty members, perhaps interdisciplinary with other CU departments?
I could speak to my projects at least, but in Stat 5000, Stat 5010, and statistical learning, all of them come to a conclusion with a large project. So project-based work that either stacks or doesn't need to stack. You know, you don't need to work on one project for all three, but you can work on one and then something else and then go back to it. It's pretty much free projects where I'm here to guide you and Dee is here to guide you a little bit if you need it, and the more advanced topics, but you have some nice freedom for research projects that you can either bring, you know, the main point of this is to bring it somewhere in industry. So can you bring this to a job and say, this is my portfolio, something like that. So our current students are interviewing for internships, things like that. They're bringing these projects to them, and so they're really useful. So maybe not, you know, we might have other research opportunities, you know, publications, but for projects, there are plenty of those that you'll be bringing with you, you know, for years and working on more after this.
Sorry, and we do have faculty in other departments who are interested in having our data science students work with them on individual research projects. And we will publish those to you as they become available. And then you can work directly with that professor. Sometimes that would be an independent study. And sometimes it could even be a paid research opportunity if they have funding. So.
And in my data mining class, there is no limitation in what kind of projects you cannot do or you can do. You are free to choose anything you like. And for example, in my current class, we have 9 projects, and one of them is about knowledge representation. And the team worked with different faculty members in different departments, even out of Boulder. So there is no limitation on imagination. So just come here and learn together.
Great, thank you. The next question is for Dr. Bird. I'm interested in learning more about what concepts students will be learning in the first 2 stats courses and the statistical learning course. So can you provide a little bit of a preview there?
Sure. So Stat 5000 is essentially foundational probability distributions. So it's heavy in the intuition behind distributions, how they connect to each other, what they mean. We derive each one from the beginning, so you're not just, you know, thrown into what's an exponential distribution. That's not a thing. We derive it directly from a Poisson, and those kind of concepts come naturally from the beginning. And then after that, we deal with confidence intervals, sampling distributions, hypothesis testing, and then at the end of the course, estimators. So point estimation, things like VUE, and Kramer-Rao lower bound, things like that. So that's pretty much Stat 5000, very foundational course. Understanding that at a job or for the pretty much the rest of the program is extremely important. So I definitely teach it that way. But there's also plenty of coding. So tidyverse, tidy models, these will come into play as well. For Stat 5010, it's essentially a pretty rigorous linear models course. So pretty much all the topics you would see in a linear models course, you'll see in this course, maybe slightly more rigorous. And definitely, again, taught with R. And then statistical learning is, we took linear regression out of Stat 5000 because we wanted to develop it a little better for data science. And so we did that until we moved linear regression to Stat 5010. And so statistical learning now is some more advanced, different side of linear regression, unsupervised learning, supervised learning, trees, SVMs, model selection, and things like that. So hopefully that's enough. I'm not sure, but hopefully that'll get us started at least.
Great, thank you. Next question, what is unique about this program compared with other data science programs? And this might be a good question for Bobby and Jane.
Jane, do you want to start?
Go ahead.
I think while it may not be unique, what's most special about this program and somewhat unusual is that it is a really interdisciplinary program. It's not mainly a computer science program or mainly a statistics program or mainly a certain application area. There are a lot of programs that are labeled data science that do have that flavor. And this one from the very start was put together as a broad data science program, which in our estimation is what data science is. It needs to have that breadth. So that would be my response. Jane?
I totally agree. That's exactly what I would have said.
I think I'll throw a plug in for another difference, which is new this year, which is that bridge to data science pathway. So if you don't have that traditional, hardcore programming or mathematics background, there is a way for you to get into this field and still maintain the same level of rigorous coursework that you need to succeed with that master's.
One of the questions that was in the thing that I answered, but I'd like to address it for everybody is, are we going to be doing things in R or Python? And my answer was yes. So the stats courses will use R, the computer science courses will use Python, and your elective courses could use either or even some third option, depending on what area you're going into. But we feel like any data scientist coming out with a master's degree needs to be fluent in both R and Python so that you can address whatever questions your customer has or your company has in whichever language they are using as their primary platform.
All right. Do you teach, speaking of programming languages, do you teach any Java or JavaScript based machine learning, or are there options for those who can code in both R and Python?
Are you asking, are there options to do Java-based machine learning if you already know R and Python? Or are you saying, if you know R and Python, can you just handle that work in R and Python? I guess would be. We don't, just to be clear, we don't teach anything in any machine learning in Java. Everything is in Python and R. All of the machine learning course is in Python. If I were to teach computer vision, that is a Python dominated field as well. So everything you're presented with will be either in R or Python. Sometimes it'll be a choice, like Jane said.
I know there are no questions coming in now, but I'll ask this because I frequently see this question asked, and I know there's a lot of questions about programming languages. So if an applicant knows R or Python, but doesn't know the other one, what advice would you give them, prior to starting the program, if they want to do that direct to data science pathway? Are there any tools that you've found in the industry or anything that you would recommend for students prior to starting?
Well, we should have both an R and a Python course available on Coursera before you start the program next fall. And so if you're, if you'd like to take that online and get that under your belt before you start, you're welcome to do that through the Coursera platform. So you would look for the CU Boulder courses in Intro to R or Intro to Python and take those courses. They're not for credit, but you could take those courses to refresh your skills or to get the beginnings of those skills in those areas if you wanted to do that before you started.
Great. And we had another question come in. Is having a master's degree in IT a plus or not? And maybe this is a good opportunity to talk a little bit more about our kind of holistic application review and what we look for in applicants.
So yeah, having a master's degree is great. It gives you a heads up. You'll know some things that the other students won't, but they'll know some things you don't. So that's okay. It certainly is helpful to have an IT background before you start. But what Jennifer was referring to is we look at your entire application, right? We look at your GPA, we look at your personal statement, we look at your background and see who are the most competitive applicants that we have? Because we're going to have to draw the line somewhere. We only have so much room in our classes, and we don't want the classes to be too large. So saying that, I'll say, we look at the entire application and encourage you to put in your personal statement anything that don't just, I'll say what not to put in your personal statement. Don't tell me how great data science is. Okay, I know data science is great. That's why we're doing this. Okay, so tell me about you. Why are you different? Why are you a good fit for this program? Maybe what happened, did you have an illness while you were in school that made your GPA lower? Or did you take this extra thing on that wasn't normal for most people? So let us get to know you in your personal statement. Okay.
Thanks, Jane. That's helpful. Can you explain the course structures, for example, exams and assignments, and kind of what to expect?
Well, that depends on each professor. So each professor is going to design their course the way they want to. So some will have exams, some will just have projects, some will have a combination of exams and projects. So it's going to depend on the faculty member. I can tell you in my course, it's all project-based and discussion-based. I think Bobby's course, I think, is mostly discussion-based with some writing assignments. I think James does a combination of exams and projects, and I'm not sure. Dee, what do you do?
I do a combination of assignments, exams, and projects. And the projects has 40% of the final grade, which is the biggest chunk of the performance.
Right. I'm not seeing any questions right now, but I know another question that we get from time to time is about whether or not students have to complete this degree in 2 years. For example, are they allowed to do it part-time and extend it? Or I know Caitlin mentioned earlier, it can be sometimes done in as little as 3 semesters, so 1.5 years. But Caitlin, maybe you can talk a little bit about part-time or one of the faculty members.
Yeah, so you can do the program part-time. The only thing that I always like to mention is usually students who ask about part-time options usually work in the area and maintain an 8 to 5 job, and then are interested in doing a part-time in the evenings. Most classes, are offered during the daytime. So if that's kind of the part-time program you're looking for, there might be some evening classes, but it will be unlikely to finish the whole degree in the evenings. So you'll just have to work with your employer to make sure that they are, flexible and allowing you to come to campus for classes. There is also an online MSDS program. So if you, are working full time and you still want to get the education from the MSDS program, the online option is also a really great option for you. But you do have to finish the curriculum in 4 years. So that's just something that you'll work with me to make sure that you're on track to graduate within that 4-year time limit if you're doing the on-campus program. And yes, you can finish in 1.5 years too. Once again, just with course planning, you'll work with me to make sure that you're on track to finish.
Great. Now that must have triggered some thoughts for you all, because I see a few questions coming in. So what about students that are proficient in programming but haven't taken college level linear algebra or multivariate calculus courses? What options do applicants like that who are otherwise qualified have to catch up? Would they take specific Coursera courses beforehand, or kind of what would you recommend there?
So you're going to have an option there. We plan to provide an on-campus bridging course that will give you the math concepts you need to be successful in the program. We will also have a Coursera version of that should launch within a month or 2 now. I think, hey, James, I completed the last videos this morning. Anyway, so James and I did that course on Coursera, so you're welcome to take that on Coursera, but it's probably preferable to do it in the residential version once you get to campus, just because I think it would give you more practice and more in-depth knowledge on that area.
Great, thanks. Next, what is the expected teaching modality? What with COVID going forward? For example, this fall, will classes be hybrid or recorded for those doing part-time? Will they be fully in person? That kind of thing.
Right now, their plan is to be in person. So for our residential program, we feel like that's the best option. So that's the plan right now. Of course, we all know with COVID, everything changes. Nothing is the same, but change is the only constant thing. So, we always have to be prepared for something different, but that is the plan currently.
I'll just add that we've been in person this entire semester and will be next semester as well. And it's worked well. Boulder tends to be a place that takes the health regulations quite seriously, and therefore it's done well. There's been very few issues that I'm aware of. As Jane said, we can't predict, but just the best you can do is know what we've done so far, and that's the answer. And I apologize, I need to get off, but it's a pleasure having gotten to talk to you, and best of luck.
Thanks,
Thank
Bobby.
you so much. All right, next I see a question from someone who has a master's in geophysics, wondering if they're a good fit for the program. And then as an unrelated question, whether or not there's a fee waiver. So let me jump in. There are some application fee waivers that are offered by the graduate school for people who are in specific programs, like active duty military. I'll put that in the chat really quick so you can find that information and see if it applies to you. Just a heads up, you would have to apply for that before you submit your application and that payment. So just heads up there. But as far as the MS in geophysics and being a fit, I'll throw that to the faculty members here.
So I have a master's in astrophysics, and my research was in the astrophysics domain. And not only that, but when you get to industry, you'll actually find that a lot of physicists have moved to data science. So it's really very far from weird for a geophysicist to go to a data science program and enjoy data science and make a career out of it. So I would find that not weird at all.
Great, thank you. We have one more question. As an open source learner, I've used Python libraries like scikit-learn, pandas, NumPy, and Seaborn to solve problems or implement machine learning models. So coming into this program, what sort of difference can I expect? Like studying all the methods and algorithms from scratch, or will we use these open source contributions and focus more on mathematical intuition and problem solving?
I'm really excited to answer this question because imagine you are seeing my syllabus. I'm teaching these 4 packages this semester, and rather than just use them directly, I'm teaching, for example, for pandas and for NumPy, we are going to learn the cost of operations in these 2 packages. Before we learn how to use them, we want to know how these tools are invented, so we have a better understanding. And also for Seaborn and for scikit-learn, for machine learning, we're going to learn the methods behind the stage. That is why we invent these methods, why this one will work well in this situation rather than in some other situations. So we are going to learn deeper rather than just use them. And you have those kind of backgrounds, which will be a big plus. And you can share your expertise with your co-workers or co-team workers for your projects for sure. We are working on projects as a team, which will always be wonderful.
Great, thank you. If there's any more questions, now is your time to enter them. And while you're thinking, I'll just mention that we do have an email address that I'll put in the chat as well. It's datascience@colorado.edu. So if you happen to think of a question later, don't worry that this is your only chance to get answers. You can always email us and we can follow up that way. We got some more questions, so let's jump into the next one. I know someone in another master's program at Boulder, and it has been standard for every in-person class to be recorded. Is that the case for this program as well?
No, it is class specific. If an instructor chooses to record the class meeting, then they may, but it's not a requirement. And I don't believe most of them are not recorded.
Right. Next question, are any of the syllabi for any of the courses available online? No worries if the answer is no.
Mine is not. Everything's through Canvas on our system. And so unless an instructor keeps those syllabi posted somewhere else, they're not available for students outside of our campus to go look at.
So it will be online once you're a student, it sounds like, in Canvas, but it's just not available publicly online. Is that what you're saying, Jane?
Well, I'm saying unless you're taking the class and have access to that course on Canvas, you wouldn't see the syllabus.
Okay.
So,
But if they have a specific question about that you might find on a syllabus and they want to ask that specific question, again, now would be the perfect time.
right. And you could ask, if you had a question on a specific syllabus, that faculty member could always email you the syllabus, but we don't have a place where we post all the syllabi.
And again, if you have those questions, you can always email datascience@colorado.edu, and then we can connect you to the faculty member. All right, it looks like we're not seeing any more questions. Let's give it just a few seconds here. And then let's see if anyone has any more questions. Looks like we have one question. Can you please talk about the elective natural language processing? For example, the faculty, the syllabus, or any more details that might not be on the website.
That's just taught by our computer science faculty, and it's one of the computer science graduate level courses. And so our students would get a certain number of seats in that class. It would be taught in Python. We're also looking at maybe doing some, I call text analysis classes that could be in either Python or R, and could be a little more focused on, for instance, we're working with the English department to maybe do a text analysis class as an elective, but that's not available yet, but those are things in the works.
All right, it looks like we don't have any more questions. Oh, sorry, one more. Is there a PhD option, PhD in data science after the MS program?
Not currently.
All right. It looks like we don't have any more questions. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really great to actually see, meet faculty members and meet prospective new students. So we do hope that we'll see your application in January or before, and that you'll be joining us next fall. We do have that other webinar coming up, like Caitlin mentioned, on January 6th. So if you have any last minute program, application questions, please do join us there. Reach out via email. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you again soon, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.